Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We have a very exciting program, and we'll get started in just a couple minutes. As you come in, why don't you let us know through the chat where you're coming to us from, what part of the country, what city or state, and also what's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish? And I'll take a look at those as everybody's coming in. Give everybody a couple more minutes to come in. I'm not seeing anything. Kurt, is the chat enabled?
Yes, it's enabled.
Great, thank you. Well, I'll start off. Mine is sweet potatoes. Oh, Jacqueline is from Poolsville, and she said green bean casserole. We have Melissa from Boston, and her favorite side dish is pie. Yay. Madeline says pecan and sweet potato casserole. Yummy. Maybe I want that recipe. Northern Virginia, turkey is my side with turkey, Rob. That's interesting. You can have my turkey, Rob. Not my favorite. Anyone else want to comment before we start the program today? Tell us where you're from and what's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish. Homemade cranberry sauce. Yummy, Vanita. We'll give people just another minute to come in and then we'll start our program. Chicago and stuffing, Lindsay. Sausage and apple stuffing, Kurt. Ashley from Boston, Ina Gardner, sausage stuffing. Oh, that's ambitious. Okay, well, let's get started today. I'm Sherry Singer, and I'm the founder and one of the co-organizers of Association Xchange. This is our last program in 2024. We've had such a great year. Thank you all for joining us on a continuous basis, and we hope to bring you more fantastic programs in 2025. In fact, our first program in 2025 will feature Michelle Mason, CEO of ASAE and the ASAE Foundation. And Michelle is going to be talking about the future of associations in 2025 and beyond. And I hope you'll join us for that program. A few housekeeping comments today. Feel free to post your questions in the chat. We don't use the Q&A feature on Association Xchange. And I look forward to a fabulous program today. And I'm going to turn it over to Shanita, who is going to introduce our speaker today.
Yes. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Shanita Smith, and I'll be your moderator for today's session, Using Data to Drive Membership Growth. We're thrilled to have you here to empower the power of data and it's shaping effective membership strategies. Today's webinar is going to be led by the esteemed CEO of ACLP, Alison Heron, MBA CAE. Alison has a deep expertise in association management, membership growth, and customer service with a strong focus on leveraging data to drive meaningful engagement and retention. With her leadership, we've seen firsthand the transformative potential of data-driven decisions in membership strategy. Throughout this session, Alison will share practical insights on data, identifying key data sources, choosing the right tools, and translating data into actions that enhance membership value and growth. We'll have time for questions at the end, so please feel free to submit any questions as we go along. Without further ado, it's my pleasure to hand things over to Alison to lead us into the world of data-driven membership growth.
Thank you, Shanita. Thank you for the warm welcome and the extended invite to be here. So let's talk about using data to drive membership growth strategies within associations. So the importance of making data-driven decisions before we do anything, it really is to have effective growth strategies. Is crucial for long-term success is looking at really that visionary view and not just in the short term. So it is really important to take the lens of using data to drive the decision making that you have within the organization. I want to talk a little bit about the membership life cycle. And I've done membership, I want to say probably for well over 20 or so plus years in varying associations, from a two-person association to 100 and plus, and now in my association of 13 staff persons, including myself. And the membership life cycle is critical to your membership growth and really understanding what that life cycle means. So in the membership life cycle, there are 5 stages within associations that engage as prospects and members. So all membership organizations should have a planned membership life cycle. The acquisition phase, the growth phase, which is awareness and recruitment. Then you're going into membership retention, where you're engaging. You have your engagement of members, renewal, as well as your reinstatement, which I also call win-back campaigns. And this graph right here is courtesy of Marketing General. I will give definitely a plug or two for Marketing General, because as a person working in a two-person association or 5-person association, I did not have true access to a lot of tools. So understanding this membership life cycle and some other things brought out by Marketing General is very helpful for me as well. So how do you leverage the membership lifecycle data? You look at identifying the key lifecycle stages. So looking at the data to identify the stages of that lifecycle: onboarding, engagement, renewal. We're talking about reinstatement or the churn. And when you're talking churn, is at the rate that you're losing members and or sustaining members. Analyzing member behavior. Examine the member behavior, the engagement within each life cycle stage. We can't forget one over the other. And I know we're focused on growth, but we cannot forget engaging. We cannot forget the first stage of awareness when we're discussing the life cycle. Developing targeted strategies. Each life cycle should have a targeted strategy for your member segments and your different member segments as well. Optimizing your acquisition channels, whether that's going to be using an omni-channel approach for email, mail. Direct mail is still effective. You're looking at some doing text now, using a different social media marketing, using a different multimedia channels that you have to leverage and optimize your acquisition strategies. And continuously monitoring and readjusting your strategies is also key. Key data sources for associations. We know of our internal data: membership, conference attendance, committee participation, purchase sales, and any other data collected directly by the association. It can be for fundraising or donors. Just all the different data sources that you have within your association system should be used and reviewed. External data, industry reports, market research. I mentioned Marketing General. Each year, they come out with a membership marketing benchmarking report, what has key statistics and data of how associations are benchmarking either their growth, their loss, or the retention across the different associations. So those are key reports, using demographic data and other publicly available data to benchmark against. Survey and feedback mechanisms. How often are you surveying your members? How often are you having a membership satisfaction survey? What are your feedback mechanisms? Are you employing an exit survey as part of your renewal campaign? So survey and feedback mechanisms, making sure that you have those in place, are also key data sources for any association. And here's some practical applications: turning data into action, which is what we all want to know, is like, how can we do things? Segmentation and personalization, making sure that we analyze the customer data to identify distinct segments within the unique members and their preferences. Use insight to deliver personalized content, offers, and experiences that's going to resonate within that member segment. Predictive analytics. And so how do you leverage historical data to build predictive models that forecast, what consumers and what the customers and what your members are doing. Understanding, again, I talked about it earlier, the churn risk, right? The loss, the rate that you're losing members. And I'll say this when it comes to for larger associations, it's easier to do. But when you're a smaller association or association that really do not have the resources yet for those predictive tools, we'll talk about ways to do that. And tracking KPIs, making sure you're tracking the key performance indicators and how you're measuring success is vital as well. So segmenting the membership base, target messaging, but targeted messaging for each member segment. So if you have a traditional membership model, which is you have a more not tiered base, but it's you have a student, a retired category, a professional category, academia category. They're broken down into different categories. You still need to target and have messaging specifically for that group to ensure that you're not speaking to one group the same. Improving engagement, understanding how your members are interacting with you, making sure if you can that you have tailored content, again, via the member segment, events, offers, your marketing, making sure you're speaking to your member where they are, but that if I'm talking to my professional members, I'm not sending them student member content. Increase retention. By meeting the unique needs, you can also see an increase in your retention. Efficient resource allocation, focusing on the specific needs again and preferences of each of the member segment, and making sure that you're allocating the marketing, the programming, and the resources effectively. That is also key within segmenting the membership base and meeting the membership base where they are specifically and uniquely. And personalized experiences if you can. So personalized experiences, again, that takes more time. It's great to do personalized experiences, but you have to put the effort into doing personalized experiences. There are going to be many tools to help, but what can you absolutely do to say that I'm speaking to you in the audience? I'm speaking to this member as a student, and it resonates with that student or the professional or even your retired members as well. So talking predictive analytics for even retention, identifying at-risk members, utilizing different models or different methods to detect members who are at risk of disengaging, who are at risk of non-renewals, understanding what your key indicators are, user behavior, engagement metrics, and other relevant data to pinpoint the key factors, really that contributes to member retention and attrition. Developing targeted interventions based on the insights that you're gaining from the different indicators in your models. What are the proactive strategies and personalization outreaches that you can develop into these type of campaigns, big or small, at the specific needs for those who are at risk of not renewing? And monitoring, refining your approach always in any retention, growth, awareness, any aspects of the membership life cycle, you should definitely monitor and refine your approach. What have you learned? What's working? What's not working? And definitely refining the approach as you go along. Also want to talk about some membership formulas. And again, these membership formulas are typically wide known, potentially within the association space. Again, I've used formulas from Marketing General. Tony Rossell is one of the, I will say, membership gurus within the space for the long time within Marketing General. And looking at the renewal rate, And looking at the renewal rate and using the actual calculations for the renewal rate, for your churn rate, steady state analysis, understanding that the steady state analysis is determining what your steady state is, where members gained will offset the members lost. So here it shows an example that you assume 2,000 new members. You have a 90% renewal rate, which is fabulous, meaning that you then have a 10% lapse rate. And for me, I use the steady state analysis in even larger associations to say, if we just remain the same over the next 3 years, here's what that predictive outcome would be of how many members I would have at either a growth rate or at a loss rate. So I've used the steady state analysis really to identify and inform certain decisions, even when I was not at the CEO level, when I was a senior director, I would have those conversations with my leadership to say, if we continue the way we are, this is what we potentially will see in our membership with our membership count. It can be at a loss or a growth, and here's what I need in order for us to grow and move forward. Same as the renewal rate. And is also making sure that we are tracking the renewal rates. I track year over year, month over month, by each member segment and category. Yes, there's a lot of data and there's a lot of information, but that information can help with the key metrics. And here are some of the key metrics. Your growth rate, retention rate, as I spoke on. So your growth rate is the percentage increase or decrease in the total number of members over a given year, again, such as month or year. Membership retention rate, critical. The percentage of members who renew their membership or continue with the association over a specific time frame. Again, year over year, month over month, you can take all of that data that you're tracking and look at it every 6 months, every quarter, to be able to help guide you in some of your strategies. New member acquisition rate, the rate at which members can attract and onboard new members, typically measured as a percentage of the total membership. Member engagement metrics measures how effectively involved members are with your association, again, such as event attendance, participation on your online committees, communities, volunteering with your association and participating with committees, task force, work groups. All of that information should be tracked and used, as well as your membership satisfaction level. Member feedback on overall satisfaction with association program and services and the value proposition. So again, how often are you taking that big holistic picture of membership and asking your members, and also asking your lapsed members and those who've never joined, those questions, so you can gain valuable feedback and understand the gaps that your association may be facing with product lines that could be developed, as well as events or meetings, education, continuing education. Those are all aspects that you can get out of tracking data and also surveying. So tools and different analytics for data management. We know our AMS system, our association management system. Here is where you want to make sure that you're having good data in, because if you have good data in, then of course you're pulling good data out, but the same goes with bad data. Bad data in can have bad data out. So making sure that you're leveraging your AMS data to gain insights into member engagement, event attendance, and other key metrics to inform data management strategies, customer relationship management, right? So there's an aspect of member data, but then there's one that we have customer data. And this is understanding sales, exhibit sales, just purchases that you may have. Maybe it's products that you have, and individuals may or may not be a member, but using that data and those data insights as well can help inform you for recruitment opportunities and different promotions and strategies and different campaigns. Analytic platforms. There are several analytic platforms, as I talked about previously. especially with Power BI. I use pivot tables when I did not have the access to Power BI. I definitely use pivot tables. There are different data warehouses out in association space that will then have an SSO or integrate directly with your AMS system, and it'll pull all the necessarily data over. And within the data warehouse that I've used previously at larger associations, I then can create dashboards to quickly see and measure the data. When I didn't have those tools, I set up and used the membership formulas and created my own tracking spreadsheets for that. Integrating data sources, your LMS systems, your learning management systems, again, the CRMs is any of your outside systems. For us, we use Cadmium for our events, but any of these outside systems will pull in that data and help you to manage data as well. And just a few quick tips for tool selection. I'm going through an AMS selection process right now for our organization. And we have to look at the ease of use, not only for our members and our consumers, but also for staff. Because we want to make sure if a system is overly complicated, then the efficiency for staff levels goes down. So what I tell my staff, and even for my board of directors, we don't need a Maserati Cadillac version of an AMS system for our members. For this point, we need a nice Toyota, right? With some bells and whistles, but we look at configuration and not customization when we're looking at different tools for our systems. Scalability is important. Data security and a heighten of everything we're doing with data security is critical. Scalability, we want to make sure that you're going to be able to scale up. So you may not need the Cadillac version now, but does your system allow for you to scale up and also integrate with majority of the known platforms within the association space, especially with different single sign-ons for SSOs. If not, and you're using systems that's well outside of those typically and that no associations, you can spend costs. It comes to be very costly with doing integrations, or you may not be able to integrate at all. And I want to talk about just a few real world examples. I mean, hey, if we had all of the monies in the world to be able to have, and what do personalization at Spotify with our education or our events, that would be great. But here are just a few real world examples of how Spotify is using personalized playlists, such as Discover Weekly and Release Radar. They use data on how their users are listening, their listening habits, and recommends new music. And that has led to their increased user engagement and subscriber growth. Netflix content recommendation. So their advanced recommendations and their different algorithms, they analyze, again, user preferences, viewing history to suggest new shows and movies, resulting in higher customer retention and content consumption. Airbnb's dynamic pricing, they use real-time data on supply, demand, and market trends to dynamically price its listing, allowing the host to maximize earnings and guests to find the best deals. And Amazon. All right, Amazon. So Amazon's predictive ordering. They use customer data and purchase patterns to anticipate future demand, enabling the company to optimize inventory and reduce costs. So in this great space of these big for-profit groups, we're looking at ways of you may not be able to have the back-end infrastructure as a Amazon or a Spotify or even Netflix, but using data and the different tools and the formulas around that, you can start doing that yourself. It may be slower, but it's okay, right? Everything cannot be done at a level of an Amazon and or our larger association. So we have to scale this also up or down based on our own association infrastructure, our own knowledge, skills, and abilities that we have on staff, but there's different ways in which we can utilize all of the data to then build effective strategies. And again, strategies for membership growth. So again, I'm always going to stress being data-driven and using a data-driven approach is leveraging data and analytics to drive informed decision-making for membership growth. Member insights, collecting and analyzing member data to understand their needs, preferences, and behaviors. Targeted campaigns, developing a personalized, data-driven marketing and engagement strategies to attract and retain members. And your membership life cycle, optimizing the membership journey from acquisition to renewal and beyond, using data-driven tactics. And by effectively using data to drive membership growth, associations can better understand their members, deliver tailored experiences, and achieve sustained organizational success. And I want to thank you for this time and opportunity to speak on data-driven approaches to membership growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. We do have a couple of questions. A reminder, if anyone else have questions, please put them in the chat. First question, Allison, are you willing to share the slides after the event, like a PDF of them?
Absolutely.
Perfect. How often do you recommend surveying your members?
So depends. Now, I definitely do. I'm definitely, and you need to know, survey fatigue is very real amongst members. But to do a membership search, like a satisfaction survey, 2 years, every 2 to 3 years, depending on the growth of your association. If there's a lot of change within your association, then I would say every 2 years would be that anticipated timeline. But also making sure that for your renewal campaigns that you have a survey going out for those that fall off. If you have a grace period after your grace period or when their membership term ends, you definitely want, that's a continuous, right? So for us, we're on an anniversary cycle. Then that means I'm continuously seeing and then can look at the data 3 months from now, 6 months from now. What are the trends? What are individuals saying as why they have decided not to renew their membership? And then that informs the membership strategies.
Thank you. Do you recommend individual interviews and focus group in addition to online surveys?
Absolutely. Focus groups are great. Now, depending on who's doing a focus group. So I would say I would have focus groups possibly, if you could, from an outside, maybe facilitator, because if you're very close to it, an outside facilitator can work with you, but then actually individuals may feel freer to speak to an outside, a third party more than to staff, because some individuals will probably want to protect staff's feelings, or they can be very real for staff feelings that can wind up hurting the staff on what they say. Individual, yes, I do it often. I would probably pick a few of our students, maybe a few individuals from our committees, some of the committee leaders, or who I feel though has been identified as up and coming leaders, and just ask a few questions. What are they seeing? What are they feeling? How can we improve? How has their experience been? And then you can take that type of qualitative data and mix that in with the quantitative data to give you a better picture.
Perfect. Can you share a specific example after identifying a non-engaged member, what you did as a result?
So for a non-engaged member, and meaning a non-engaged member, sometimes we have mailbox members. There is nothing wrong with having a mailbox members. There are some members, depending on their availability or their time, that they're not going to engage with the association. However, they're still regularly paying their dues. How many committees can we place individuals on? Right? How many task force work groups? At times, we do not have enough spots to truly engage our members. That's why micro volunteering opportunities are great for those that do want to engage, but we're unable to fit them, like really expand out our committee. But If you see individuals like, how are they not engaged? So they're paying their dues, but they're not coming to the event, then maybe you're sending out a message or email to those who have never attended the event and kind of do a survey and or do strategies to bring them along. But some individuals are unable to travel. They don't have the professional development opportunities or resources or funds by their associations. But if they're paying their dues, it's okay.
Excellent. This one's a comment, 100% Allison. It's important to have a third party to conduct focus groups and individual surveys.
Absolutely. And also, I'll say this real quick. When your organization's going through a strategic plan, usually they're doing a true wide, like an organization-wide outreach, hopefully, to gather data to inform their strategic plan. And I would ask, see what type of data can be shared with from, it doesn't have to be the comments, but what is being said when you're going into the strategic plan that can help inform you and inform your strategies.
Thank you. Is there a data approach you could use to determine whether a lack of engagement could be a problem with your content or programs versus an awareness issue?
As an approach, that's more surveying, right? We don't want to do survey fatigue, but are members seeing? Like, how are you reaching your members? Are you reaching your members only via email, only via your newsletter, and that's how you're sharing content? Because if you are in this day and age, I think the gap that you're missing is social media. And not social media because you may have a larger Instagram following, but how are you leveraging social media on for content? But this again is where you're going to look at an overall survey to gauge satisfaction. It also, part of your survey may include communications. Are they seeing? Is it too much communication? Is it not enough communications? So that can be done as well.
Thank you. Can you talk more about segmenting messaging?
Yes. Is there anything else besides more than that? So segmented messaging, if you're talking to your students, make sure all your messaging, your products, your engagement, everything you're going to talk about for students is student focused. And sometimes, again, if you do not have a robust system, it may mean a little bit manual work, right? Even if your email marketing platform hopefully is tied into your AMS system, but it's not. If it's not, it's more legwork up front. But once you have all of that set for your professional members, ensure that you're segmenting and talking to professional members, making sure that any of the continuing education, conferences, the events is focused around for the professional members, like it's geared towards them. That is what I'm meaning when it's talking member segmentation, is understanding your member base, each of your membership tiers, what they're going to get, and now speak to them. Understand, let the data tell a story. And that's where trends are coming in. So I track, and Shanita tracks specifically every segment within our membership that we're collecting dues for. We track every segment month over month, year over year. And we do every retention rate, and we also do our growth rate annually as well.
Thank you. I think this one's a little bit too specific, but you can tell me, Allison. A lot of our member data is kept at the chapter level, engagement and activity. Any recommendations how we can incorporate that into our overall engagement scores for members? HQ data is limited to what we offer and doesn't provide an overview of overall member engagement.
That is a little more specific, and I like a little more time to kind of think on that one. So, Shanita, can you ask for that individual's information to respond back directly? But I'll say this. Chapter data and their chapter information is that unless you're going to find a way at the national headquarters to really collect chapter data and or ask the chapters for that data to somehow incorporate in, I'm not sure how you're going to be able to do that. More than sending out a survey or having focus groups and talking to your members to say, well, what are you doing at the chapter level? How engaged are you at the chapter level? Also, I'll just say this, For national headquarters, that chapter, sometimes that the national chapter relationship can be a little difficult. Work within your chapters. That if you work with your chapters and start gaining some of the engagement and helping your chapters as well, of understanding how to engage with the members, you can help them fill their gaps and maybe they can share that data as well. But what's at the chapter level, unless it's kind of plugged in, you'll probably have to do more focus groups, more surveys directly, specifically on what they're doing at the chapter and local level.
This one's a comment. In market research, you need to probe as to why members say what they say. Critical to get the why, and like Alison said, that would drive strategy. Well, another question that we have, what are some small quick win data strategies associations can implement to drive immediate impact?
That's a little more specific. So repeat the question again for me.
What are some small quick win data strategies associations can implement to drive immediate impact?
Understand why. Understand the why. And for data strategies, what is your renewal rate? What is your retention rate? Let me ask that. If your retention rate is at a 60 or 70%, you have a lot of work to do and a lot of different quick wins. When it comes to growth strategies, how many campaigns are you running? How many touch points do you have within your renewal campaigns? Are you just only solely reaching out via email on your renewal campaigns? Right? So that's how many touch points, or what is the length of time that you're doing for a recruitment campaign? Is it a recruitment campaign that is for everyone? Or are you going to do smaller targeted recruitment campaigns? So those are some of the strategy and tactics that you can implement quickly, but you have to know your data in order, right, to be able to then build what a quick win strategy and drumming down from that tactic and what your tactics are going to be.
Excellent. That was our last question.
Thank you.
So Alison, thank you so much for being with us today. That was a fabulous presentation. Awesome, really. Thank you very much. And our next AXC will be in January with Michelle Mason. I hope everyone will join us at that time. If you are actually thinking about CAE credits, you can track this and apply to ASAE when you renew your CAE. This will give you 1 CAE credit. So thanks, everybody. I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season, and I look forward to seeing you back here in January.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.